Welcome to the Explainer. So, property taxes. We've all got to pay them, and let's be totally honest, they can be a massive headache. But you know what? Navigating the online payment portals shouldn't feel like you're trapped in a maze. If you own property in Ellis County, you're probably thinking logging in to pay is pretty straightforward, right? Well, what if I told you that you might literally be about to pay the wrong state entirely? Crazy, I know. Let's fix that right now. Today, we're going to simplify this whole digital process and get you exactly where you need to be. But first, there's a crucial detail you absolutely cannot ignore. There isn't just one Ellis County in the United States. There are three. That's right, three. One's in Texas, one's in Kansas, and one's in Oklahoma. If you just Google Ellis County property tax and click the very first link, you could accidentally send thousands of dollars to the completely wrong jurisdiction. And doing that means missing your actual deadline and triggering some seriously hefty penalties. Nobody wants that. So here's our roadmap for getting your taxes paid accurately and on time today. We'll cover the jurisdictional trap, preparing to pay, navigating those portals, fees and deadlines, troubleshooting, and wrap up with some final tips. All right, let's dive into part one, the jurisdictional trap. 3 states, 1 name. It's wild, but the simple geographic quirk causes major administrative delays every single year. As you can see, Ellis County, Oklahoma is just one piece of the puzzle, with the others sitting over in Kansas and Texas. Now, we know ad valorem property taxes fund vital local services, things like infrastructure and your local schools. But correctly identifying your county is absolutely step one. Accessing the wrong state portal is going to result in missed deadlines and the kind of administrative headaches you just don't have time for. Moving right along to preparing to pay and how to gather your information. Look, having your documents ready in advance is the real secret to a painless checkout. You definitely do not want the portal timing out on you while you're rummaging around your desk looking for a specific folder. So here are 3 universal steps to get ready. First, locate your property ID, or CAMA ID as it's called in some of these systems. Second, check your specific state's deadline. And third, choose your payment method ahead of time. The good news? You can find your account numbers printed right there on your mailed tax statements. Keep that piece of paper right next to your keyboard before you even open your web browser. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty, navigating the portals. Let's decode the matrix. The operational differences between these 3 states are actually pretty distinct. If you're down in Texas, your primary gateway is lstaxoffice.com, which hooks you into a year-round centralized web system. Now, if you're in Kansas, you're going to use a state-integrated portal at kansas.gov/propertytax. But keep in mind, this one is cyclical. It's really designed for specific billing windows, like November to December and April to May. And finally, if you're in Oklahoma, you'll head over to oktaxrolls.com/searchtaxrolls/Ellis, and that one is available year-round. Whichever one is yours, make sure you bookmark that specific link right now. Next up, let's talk about fees, deadlines, and penalties. Basically, the real cost of delays. Making your payments early and being strategic about your payment method is going to save you real, hard-earned money. Notice just how incredibly cheap e-checks are compared to using a credit card. In Texas, an e-check is just a flat 50-cent fee. I mean, that's nothing. In Kansas, it's roughly $1.50 to $2, and Oklahoma is a flat $1.75. Contrast that with credit cards. Texas charges 2.25%, Kansas is at 2.5%, and Oklahoma charges nearly 3%. To put that in perspective, if your tax bill is several $1,000s, a nearly 3% fee on a credit card is massive. Paying by e-check keeps a whole lot of money right where it belongs, in your pocket. So, the crucial point here is avoiding late fees at all costs. If you miss your deadline, the penalties are absolutely fierce. For example, if you're an Oklahoma property owner, falling behind hits you with a whopping 1.5% per month delinquency interest rate. Over a year, that compounds to an 18% per annum penalty. You absolutely do not want to be paying 18% interest on your property taxes. No way. Oh, and here is a super surprising, actionable fact specifically for our Texas property owners. Before you even think about paying your bill, remember that you actually have the right to protest your appraisal. Get this. Recently, nearly 22,000 protests were filed in Ellis County, Texas, and amazingly, 74% of those protests were successful. That resulted in an average of a massive $1,580 in savings for the typical homeowner. It is always worth reviewing your appraised value before you write that check. All right, let's build a clear, chronological timeline of the absolute deadlines you've got to mark on your calendar. In Kansas, your first half is due on December 20th. Over in Oklahoma, the first half, or the full amount, is due by December 31st. And in Texas,
Well, taxes are technically due upon receipt, but an immediate 6% penalty strikes if you haven't paid by February 1st. Seriously, take a second right now to mark these down on your phone or your wall calendar.
Let's pivot to troubleshooting. What do you do when things just go wrong? So, what happens when technology decides it just doesn't want to cooperate? We've all been there. Well, here are some highly specific best practices directly from the tax portals themselves, so you don't get stuck at that final checkout screen. First off, use the Google Chrome browser. The Kansas portals explicitly recommend Chrome for the best results, just to avoid annoying browser crashes. Second, make double sure your billing zip code exactly matches the one on file with your credit card company. If it doesn't, your payment will be rejected outright. And third, if you happen to be paying an intangible tax statement in Kansas, make sure you confirm the intangible value amount directly from your mailed statement when the system prompts you. Of course, sometimes the digital world just fails us completely. And if that happens, hey, remember you have analog options. For Texas residents, there are physical tax offices in Waxahachie, Red Oak, Midlothian, and Ennis where you can just walk in and pay in person. Across all 3 counties, you always have the option to mail in a good old-fashioned check. And if you're struggling to come up with the full amount at once, helpful installment plans for qualifying homesteaded properties are often just a quick phone call away to your local tax assessor collector. Honestly, don't be afraid to reach out for help if you need it.
All right, let's wrap things up with some final tips and our disclaimer.
We have covered a huge amount of ground today, from navigating that tricky 3-state matrix to avoiding those painful 18% penalties. But as we wrap up, I do want to clearly state that while this explainer is incredibly comprehensive, it's strictly for informational purposes. We aren't providing personalized financial or legal advice here. You should always consult your official Ellis County tax authorities or a certified financial advisor for specific queries, personalized advice, or if you run into any really unique issues with your property account. Okay, let's leave you with a final thought. You now know all about the multi-state jurisdictional trap, you know your exact deadlines, and you know exactly how to save some cash by using e-checks instead of credit cards. So, with the jurisdictional matrix officially decoded, which Ellis County portal will you conquer today? Go grab that tax statement, open up Google Chrome, and get those property taxes handled with absolute confidence. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.